Good evening, everyone. Alright, I want to thank everybody for coming to the Holland Land Office Museum tonight. Next show in our concert series. I know we are a history museum, but not everything we do is exclusively history, so we're branching out here. We're very happy to have Tom Torrisi back to play for us with his really nice guitar playing, so I'm excited to have him play again. Want to thank Tompkins Community Bank and Batavia Rotary Club for helping sponsor the concert series this year, as well as GoArt, as we received a grant through their regrant program. So I'll just read this real quick. Before we begin, I would like to acknowledge GoArt's support of this project. GoArt recognizes that this gathering takes place on the ancestral lands of the Seneca Nation, part of the Haudenosaunee Confederacy, and acknowledges their enduring presence in this region. So with that, I am done talking, Tom. It is all yours.
Thank you. Thank you all for coming back tonight. It's really nice to be back here. I think I was here about a year ago, last time I played, and really enjoyed playing and also learning about all the history here. That was my first time at the museum, so that was really cool. So actually I'm going to do a little history tonight. The program that I put together for this is a little bit of tracing the classical guitar evolution from a particular point in history that sort of marks the beginning of its significance as a real concert instrument. So we'll start there, and I'll get a little bit closer to now with each piece that I play up until the 21st century. So where we're starting is with a composer named Mauro Giuliani, and he was active in the late 17th and late 18th, early 19th centuries. And around that time in Europe, there was a thing going on that became called guitaronomy, which is like guitar mania. And the instrument was exploding in popularity, and it was becoming this really cool thing to see at concerts. Prior to that, it was always looked at as sort of an amateur instrument. People would play at home, strum some chords, sing songs, that kind of thing. But you wouldn't see it at what you would consider like serious music contests. And it was a much different instrument. It was a lot smaller than what I'm holding, had a different number of strings. So as the instrument developed into the modern six-string guitar, or something like it, the music started to change too. And the guitarists started to place themselves in this concert context. And there were many great virtuoso guitarists, one of whom was the Italian Mauro Giuliani. I'm going to play. He was very popular during this time. He was very well acquainted with all the musical elite. He knew Beethoven, he knew Rossini. He also played the cello and actually was in the world premiere of Beethoven's 7th Symphony, so that's very cool. So a very well-connected guy and well-respected. His style of music is in the Italian bel canto, which is a style that originates from the opera tradition in Italy that emphasizes beautiful tone and florid melodic lines and performance over the sort of like dramatic, serious music that was taking place elsewhere. So the piece I'll play by Giuliani is called Grand Overture. The next piece I'll play is by a composer named Johann Caspar Marx, Hungarian composer. He lived a little bit after, or towards the end of Giuliani's life, so they overlapped a little bit. And Marx's style is much more in the romantic style of the great piano composers like Chopin and Liszt and Beethoven. So this is his music tends to be a bit more emotional and dramatic, and I really like it for that quality. He's sort of a master of writing melancholy music, and he uses a lot of devices that achieve that really well in a lot of his pieces. So the piece I'll play by him is one of his larger works, and one of my favorite performance pieces is called just Elegy. One interesting little thing is this is one of the few works that exists by Marx that we have the handwritten score still exists, so you can actually see exactly how he wrote it and exactly what he did. are by the great Spanish composer Francisco Tárrega. I'm actually going to play a few pieces by Tárrega. He's sometimes referred to as like the godfather of the classical guitar, the modern guitar. He was someone who was in the generation before Andres Segovia, if you know the name, Andres Segovia, very famous classical guitarist who really brought the instrument to international attention in certain kinds of ways. And Tárrega was someone that Segovia would look up to at the time. So he's very well known as a composer. When he was alive, he didn't perform a whole lot. He evidently didn't really enjoy performing that much. But he was responsible for teaching many of the great guitarists of that time who were out performing and composing some of the most well-known music for the guitar that we have today. Including, by the way, the Nokia ringtone, but I'm not playing that particular piece today, but that is true. What I will play is a piece called Capricho Árabe, and Capricho is sort of like a playful sort of type of attitude, and Árabe, he was likely thinking of sort of Arabic music or something like that. Although it doesn't particularly sound Arabic, it sounds Spanish. Either way, it's a great listen. It's great. This is a very famous piece, and it's a piece that uses a particular guitar technique that is very cool, which is called tremolo. So on guitar, we can't really play long notes. We play them and they kind of go away like that. We can't sustain notes the way a string or a winds can. So one of the ways they came up with to sort of imitate that is just by playing notes repeatedly over and over again and sort of quickly. So, you know, if you did something like this, you could sort of just sustain it forever if you want to. Doesn't know how to play guitar though, we'd play more than one note at a time, so we have to do the whole chord and everything like that. So it ends up being a little bit of bass notes, and a little bit of that melody note on the top, with one of those quick notes kind of missing in the middle where I'm playing the bass notes, but if they go quickly enough, you kind of don't hear it. So Tiger wrote this piece as a way of exploiting that technique all the way throughout to imitate a sustained melody. And this is called Recuerdos de la Alhambra. composer I really like a lot, who was from Paraguay, named Agustin Barrios. He had a pretty cool life, though he sort of struggled at times to make money with his music. He traveled around all throughout South America, Central America, and a couple times in Europe, playing concerts, composing music. And he had a really cool way of combining sort of like the rhythms of South America with sort of the lyricism and the harmony of European music that he was really, really a fan of. He transcribed music by Chopin, by Bach, and others, like Beethoven, and like that he liked to play. When he was trying to make a career as a musician and figure out how to get people to be interested in what he was doing, he did this almost a sort of modern, strangely modern thing. He took on this persona. He called himself Chief Nitsuga. Nitsuga is Augustine backwards. And he dressed up in traditional tribal clothing from Paraguay to play his concerts. And there's some really interesting pictures you can find of him looking like that, trying to promote himself this way. Unfortunately, he never made it to the U.S. to play, although he wanted to. It just never happened. The piece that I'm going to play is a really beautiful one called Julia, Florida. And it's in the style of a barcarolle, which is like a boating song, so it's got a sort of a gently rocking sort of rhythm to it. And he wrote this one dedicated to one of his students named Julia, and who was also the daughter of one of his supporters that helped him through his career. Cuban composer named Leo Brouwer. Brouwer is still living and composing today in Cuba. One of the most prolific composers for the guitar that we have. He's written memorable solo pieces, I think maybe 12 guitar concertos with orchestra by now, and many, many other pieces of guitar chamber music. And the two pieces, I'll play two pieces sort of back to back, and they come from a set of three called El Decameron Negro. So that's the Black Decameron. So he's sort of referencing the literary Decameron, which told folk stories. And he's using stories from African and Afro-Cuban folklore to inspire all these pieces. So the two that I'm going to play, the first one is called The Flight of the Lovers Through the Valley of Echoes. And you hear some really cool effects later on in the piece with this idea of echoes and these figures that echo in the guitar. And then the second piece I'm going to play is called The Warrior's Harp. so thank you all again for coming and listening. Thank you to Ryan and the Holland Land Office Museum for setting this all up. This is a great series that you guys have here, and I love playing last year, I love playing this year, and hopefully I'll play it again some other year.
Yeah.
So the last piece I'm going to play is by an American composer named Andrew York. He's a California-based composer, and he does a thing that's really cool that really someone had to do in the classical guitar world, which he takes, like so many people who play classical guitar like myself, comes from a background in other styles of music, whether it's jazz, or rock, or blues, or heavy metal, or bluegrass, or whatever. Most of us start with something else and make our way here through some means of usually academia. And what he does with his music is he kind of puts that all in there. He blends it all together. So his compositions are classical guitar pieces for sure. But you can hear the influence of jazz, of pop, of rock, reggae, and other things like that in various pieces of his. And it fills a really cool space because it sort of brings the instrument into the modern musical world. So the piece I'm going to play is one that's actually just I kind of heard about it pretty recently. It's become a little bit popular. A lot of guitarists online, and it's a really beautiful, nostalgic sounding piece. I think it's a great way to close off the night. This is called Home.
performance. Thank you everybody for coming out. A few upcoming things we have going on. Our next trivia night is next Thursday. We're going to do Battles of the Revolutionary War at 7 p.m. We have 3 guest speakers this month upcoming. Thursday, June 18th, we have Dr. Randy John coming from Salamanca to talk about the Seneca Oil Springs territory. On the 24th, we have Joyce Thompson-Hovey talking about the Martyr and the Traitor, 2 Revolutionary War spies and their legacy with a local connection. And then on the 25th, we have Vic Vignola talking about the Battle of Seven Pines. There we go. I was like, there's a number and a tree in there, and I just couldn't think of what it was. Seven Pines at 7 p.m. We also have Java with Joe, Tyler Angora from Leroy Historical Society here to talk about Ingham University. That's also the 25th at 9 a.m., so you got a double feature that day if you want to come to both. And then we have a big special event this month for New York State's Path Through History Weekend. We are working with the Genesee County Park and Forest, and we're going to do a collaborative effort called Stroll Along the History Trail at the Genesee County Forest, which is going to feature a ton of military reenactors, along with some demonstrations. They'll be doing some special hikes, there'll be some food trucks, and that'll be 11 to 3 on Saturday, June 20th. It's a free event, so feel free to stop by. But that weekend there is stuff going on across New York State dealing with the history of New York. So if you go to I Love New York, there's a page for it. You can check out all of that. But we are the one place in Genesee County you can do it. So hopefully we'll see you at some events, and we'll see you later. Have a great night.